When people show you the poison in their hearts, don't argue with it. Rise above it. Your dignity speaks louder than their disrespect ever could. Your dignity speaks louder than their disrespect. Those words carry a quiet thunder, a strength that doesn't shout, doesn't fight, doesn't beg to be heard, but still echoes through every corner of your being. In a world where people mistake noise for power, there is something extraordinary about a person who can stay calm when others try to provoke them. When someone disrespects you, they want a reaction. They want to pull you into the same energy they live in. But your dignity, your unshakable sense of who you are, is the greatest response you can ever give. There will always be moments when you encounter people who underestimate you, belittle your kindness, or treat your silence as weakness. They will twist your intentions, talk behind your back, and test your patience. But remember this, your worth does not live in their perception. It is rooted in how you choose to carry yourself through the storm. When they throw words like stones, you don't have to throw them back. You can build something higher with them, something that speaks of grace, wisdom, and strength. Dignity is not about pretending you don't feel pain. It's about deciding that pain won't control your behavior. You can feel disrespected and still choose not to retaliate. You can feel misunderstood and still choose not to explain yourself to those who aren't listening. Because every time you respond with peace instead of anger, you remind yourself of your own power. You show that your spirit cannot be shaken by the noise of small minds. Sometimes the hardest thing to do is nothing. To walk away when every part of you wants to defend your name. To remain calm when lies are told about you. To keep your composure when someone tries to embarrass you in front of others. But that is where true maturity lives, in the stillness between reaction and restraint. It is easy to lose control. It takes real power to stay centered. That is the language of dignity. It speaks softly, but carries the weight of mountains. People who live in chaos often try to drag others into it. They thrive on drama, on conflict, on making others feel small. But when you refuse to play their game, you take away their fuel. Your peace confuses them. Your silence frustrates them. They will call you cold, distant, arrogant, but deep down, they know they have lost their power over you. Dignity makes noise without sound. It tells the world that you respect yourself too much to wrestle with those who don't. You cannot teach someone how to value you, but you can show them how you value yourself. And the way you do that is by setting boundaries without guilt, by refusing to respond to disrespect with disrespect, by standing tall when others try to cut you down. You are not responsible for their behavior, but you are responsible for how you respond to it. The moment you let go of the need to be understood, you become untouchable. There will come a time when you realize that not every battle deserves your presence. Some people insult you not because of who you are, but because of what they lack. They sense your calmness and it threatens their insecurity. They see your strength and it mirrors their weakness. You don't have to explain why you refuse to argue, why you walk away, or why you protect your peace. You know who you are, and that knowing is louder than any insult ever could be. There is great power in silence. It's not the silence of fear or surrender, but the silence of understanding. It says, I see what you're doing, but I won't join you. It's the quiet that follows self-awareness, the kind that comes from knowing you have nothing to prove. Because the truth doesn't always need to be shouted. Sometimes it just needs to be lived. Your dignity speaks when you choose to rise above the urge to respond in anger. It speaks when you refuse to gossip about those who wronged you. It speaks when you continue to move forward with grace, no matter how others try to pull you back. Every time you hold your peace, you remind the world that your spirit is rooted in something unshakable. And people notice that, even those who try to deny it. You may not see it immediately, but your restraint leaves an impact. The same people who mock your calm will remember it long after the moment has passed. They will remember that you didn't crumble, you didn't react, you didn't lower yourself. That memory will echo louder than any insult, because the truth is, dignity always wins in silence what disrespect tries to win in noise. When you walk through life with dignity, you attract peace. You draw to yourself people who see your worth, who speak with kindness, who move with respect. You begin to realize that you don't need to force anyone to appreciate you. The right people will recognize your value naturally. The wrong ones will remove themselves when they can no longer provoke you. Both outcomes are blessings. Sometimes people confuse dignity with pride, but they are not the same. Pride is loud, it seeks validation, it wants to be right. Dignity is quiet. It seeks only truth, and it wants to stay at peace. Pride says, I'm better than you. Dignity says, I'm better than this. When you start living from that truth, you no longer chase apologies or explanations. You stop proving and start being. You realize that the most powerful thing you can ever do is remain calm in the presence of disrespect. The way you carry yourself teaches others how to treat you. If you remain centered in your peace, you'll find that the world begins to adjust around your energy. Those who can't handle your calm will drift away. Those who respect your presence will draw nearer. You'll discover that self-respect quietly reshapes your entire environment. You stop walking into rooms trying to be liked and start walking into rooms knowing you belong. Never forget, your silence, your composure, your grace, they are not signs of weakness. They are signs that you know your worth. Anyone can argue, anyone can shout, but not everyone can remain dignified under pressure. It takes courage to rise above disrespect without losing your softness. It takes wisdom to know when your peace is more valuable than proving a point. So even when the world tempts you to react, choose restraint. Even when people misjudge your quiet, stay steady, because your dignity is not just what you show others. It's the reflection of the love you hold for yourself. And that love, that unwavering respect for who you are, will always speak louder than their noise. Let them talk. Let them misunderstand. Let them throw their shadows. You are the light that doesn't flicker in the storm. In the end, the truth will reveal itself, and every act of grace you showed will echo long after their words have faded. Because dignity doesn't demand attention, it earns it. And that is how your spirit speaks louder than any disrespect ever could. Silence and distance are acts of self-respect, not weakness. In a world that glorifies constant response, reaction, and noise, there is something quietly powerful about the person who chooses to step back instead of stepping into chaos. People may call your silence avoidance. They may label your distance as pride. But you and your soul know the truth. You are not withdrawing out of fear. You are protecting what took years to build, your peace. There comes a moment in every person's life when they grow tired of explaining their intentions to those committed to misunderstanding them. When you realize your words can no longer reach someone lost in their own bitterness, silence becomes your only truth. Silence is not surrender. It is clarity. It means you have chosen not to argue with ignorance, not to compete with noise, and not to waste your strength on proving your worth to those who are blind to it. Distance, too, is sacred. Sometimes loving yourself means walking away, even from those you once thought you couldn't live without. It's realizing that peace is not found in holding on, but in knowing when to let go. You don't owe everyone access to your presence. You are allowed to protect your time, your energy, your space. When someone repeatedly disrespects your boundaries, your silence is not coldness. It is the voice of self-worth saying, I deserve better than this. We live in a world that mistakes loudness for confidence. People think that speaking first, reacting fast, or arguing longest proves strength. But real strength is quiet. It's the calm breath when someone tries to provoke you. It's the decision to walk away from a battle that leads nowhere. It's the grace to keep your peace even when your pride wants to roar. Silence doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care too much about your inner balance to let someone's chaos destroy it. When you choose silence, you choose power. Because silence cannot be twisted. It cannot be misquoted or misunderstood. It protects your truth from the hands of those who would try to manipulate it. When people provoke you and you refuse to react, you take away their control. They expect noise, but you give them stillness, and that confuses them. It reveals who they are, not who you are. Silence is a mirror, and in it, toxic people often see the reflection they try to hide. Distance, on the other hand, is the art of reclaiming your space. It's knowing that you cannot heal in the same environment that wounded you. It's walking away, not because you're better than someone, but because you finally respect yourself enough not to settle for less than peace. Sometimes you have to leave the table when love is no longer being served. Distance allows you to breathe again, to think again, to hear your own heart instead of the constant noise of other people's opinions. Silence and distance are not punishments. They are boundaries wrapped in wisdom. You are not punishing others when you withdraw. You are simply protecting yourself. You are saying, I refuse to let your chaos become my home. You are choosing peace over pride, growth over guilt, clarity over confusion. And while others may misread your calm, you will know deep down that it is not a sign of weakness. It is the beginning of strength. There is something deeply empowering about realizing you don't have to attend every argument you're invited to. You don't have to respond to every insult or justify every choice. Not everyone deserves an explanation. Silence is your right to choose peace over performance. Distance is your right to protect your sanity from people who drain it. Both are ways of honoring the self that has fought too hard to lose its balance now. People who thrive on drama cannot understand peace. They crave attention, validation, and reaction. They feed on emotional chaos. But when you stop giving them your words, when you stop giving them your presence, they lose their grip on your energy. Silence starves their need for control. Distance dissolves the illusion of their importance. You become untouchable, not because you built walls, but because you learned to walk with quiet strength. There's a kind of maturity that comes with silence, the kind that says, I don't need to prove anything anymore. It's the realization that peace of mind is more valuable than being right. It's understanding that not all noise deserves your answer, and not all people deserve your access. You don't have to announce every boundary or justify every retreat. Sometimes your absence says everything your words never could. When you begin to honor your silence, you begin to hear yourself more clearly. You notice how much of your energy was being spent explaining, arguing, fixing, and pleasing. You realize that your peace doesn't depend on how others see you, but on how gently you treat yourself. Silence brings you back to your essence, that quiet, unshakable part of you that doesn't need to prove anything to be powerful. And when you embrace distance, you start to see who truly values you. Those who respect your silence will wait patiently. Those who only valued your attention will fade away. Distance exposes loyalty. It shows you who stands with you even when you're not available to give them what they want. It teaches you that love without respect is noise without harmony. The world will test your peace again and again. People will push your boundaries, provoke your calm, and challenge your patience. But every time you choose silence over shouting and distance over drama, you grow stronger. You rise higher. You learn that not everything requires your reaction. Some things only require your release. Silence is your way of saying, I am no longer giving you the power to disturb my peace. Distance is your way of saying, I choose myself now. They are not signs of running away. They are signs of awakening. You are no longer desperate to be understood by those who refuse to listen. You are no longer willing to stay where your spirit is not safe. You have learned that the love you give to others must also be given to yourself. The world might call it indifference, but you know better. You know the price of peace. You know what it took to rise from the noise and choose calm. You know the battles you fought in silence that no one applauded. And now you understand, silence is not absence. It is presence refined. It is the soul choosing balance over chaos. Distance is not disconnection. It is self-protection, rooted in love. So when you walk away quietly, do not let guilt follow you. When you choose not to respond, do not mistake that for weakness. You are not fragile. You are focused. You are not avoiding. You are aligning. The world will learn that the most powerful person in the room is not always the loudest. Sometimes it's the one who says nothing, smiles softly, and walks away in peace. Because silence and distance, when born from self-respect, are not forms of retreat. They are declarations of strength. They say, I know my worth, I know my peace, and I refuse to lose either in the noise of those who don't. You owe no explanation for protecting your peace. The moment you understand this truth, you free yourself from the endless need to justify your boundaries. You realize that peace is not a luxury. It is survival. It is not selfish to protect it. It is wise. In a world that constantly pulls your attention, drains your energy, and demands your response, choosing peace is an act of strength. And yet people will question it. They will call you distant, cold, or difficult. But they do not have to understand your silence. They do not have to approve of your choices. You owe them nothing. There was a time when you used to explain everything, why you walked away, why you stopped answering, why you stopped giving so much of yourself to people who only took. You thought that if they understood, they would respect your space, but they didn't. Because those who feed on your energy never want to understand why you stopped giving it. They want your attention, not your truth. That is why protecting your peace often requires closing the door without making a speech. You don't need to apologize for choosing peace over chaos. You don't need to feel guilty for saying no. You don't need to explain why certain people no longer have access to you. Peace is sacred. It is your inner home, the space where your soul rests, where your thoughts settle, where your energy breathes again. If someone threatens that home through drama, manipulation, or constant negativity, you have every right to guard it fiercely. You wouldn't let a stranger walk into your house and destroy it. Why let anyone walk into your mind and do the same? People often mistake kindness for weakness, empathy for permission, and forgiveness for access. But protecting your peace means understanding that not everyone deserves your closeness. It means learning to love from a distance when proximity becomes painful. It means no longer bending your boundaries to make others comfortable. Peace isn't about isolation. It's about alignment. It's about making sure the people and situations around you match the calm you are creating within yourself. Sometimes you will lose people when you choose peace. They will say you've changed. They will accuse you of thinking you're better than them, but in truth, you're not changing to become superior. You're changing to become still. The noise that once entertained you will start to irritate you. The conversations that once excited you will now drain you. The chaos that once felt normal will suddenly feel unbearable. That is not arrogance, it's awakening. Growth demands quiet, and not everyone is comfortable with your silence. You owe no explanation for wanting peace where there used to be pain. You are allowed to grow past people who refuse to grow with you. You are allowed to decline invitations that disturb your calm. You are allowed to stop participating in arguments that go nowhere. You are allowed to leave group chats, conversations, and relationships that no longer feed your spirit. You are allowed to be selective about who gets your energy, because every time you say yes to something that costs your peace, you are saying no to yourself. Peace is not a mood, it's a lifestyle. It's built through decisions that others may not understand. You will have to walk away from people who do not apologize. You will have to remain silent when you want to explain. You will have to forgive privately without reconnection. You will have to accept that peace sometimes looks like losing. But in reality, you are gaining everything that truly matters: clarity, strength, and freedom. When you start to protect your peace, you'll see how often you used to abandon yourself for the sake of others. You'll notice how much energy you wasted trying to fix what was never yours to fix. You'll see how many times you silenced your feelings to keep the peace around you, not realizing you were disturbing the peace within you. Protecting your peace means you no longer betray yourself to please others. It means you finally prioritize your own well-being over being understood. Not everyone will understand your peace because not everyone is at peace with themselves. Some people are addicted to conflict. They feel uncomfortable when things are calm. They mistake your silence for weakness because they only know how to communicate through noise. But you are not here to be understood by everyone. You are here to live in alignment with your truth. Those who belong in your life will respect your boundaries. They will not demand your explanations. They will feel your peace and value it, even when they don't fully understand it. Protecting your peace doesn't mean avoiding responsibility or cutting everyone off. It means being intentional about what and who you allow into your space. It means responding less and observing more. It means understanding that peace is not found in perfect circumstances, but in steady perspective. It's knowing that you can't control how others behave, but you can control what you absorb. It's realizing that not every storm deserves your attention. You don't owe anyone an explanation for outgrowing chaos. You don't owe anyone a reason for why you stop chasing conversations that end in frustration. You don't owe anyone justification for your solitude. Your peace is not up for debate. It is not a favor you grant others. It's the foundation of your strength. Once you understand that, you stop over-explaining and start simply existing in your truth. It is not your job to make others comfortable with your boundaries. If someone feels offended by your calm, that is not your problem. If your silence makes them uneasy, that is not your burden to carry. People who respect themselves will always respect your need for space. The rest will fall away, and that's how it should be. Peace filters your circle until only what's meant for you remains. The beauty of protecting your peace is that it brings you back to yourself. You begin to hear your own voice again, softer but stronger. You begin to see how much peace was missing when you were constantly explaining, apologizing, and defending. You start to realize that real strength is not in how loudly you speak, but in how quietly you protect what matters. You learn to rest instead of react. You learn to release instead of resist. You learn to stay still and let peace speak for you. So protect your peace without guilt. Guard it like it's sacred, because it is. When someone demands explanations, give them silence. When they question your distance, give them grace. You do not owe anyone the story behind your peace. You simply owe yourself the permission to live in it fully. And when you choose peace, you don't have to explain it. Your calm becomes the loudest answer of all. Not everyone deserves access to your growth. Growth is sacred. It's a private unfolding of who you are becoming, a process that happens in quiet moments, in deep reflection, and in silent struggles no one else sees. It is not meant for public display, nor is it meant to be shared with every person who once knew an older version of you. As you rise, you will find that not everyone will clap, not everyone will understand, and not everyone will stay. That's because growth exposes the truth about who you are and about who they really were. The moment you start changing, some people will feel uncomfortable. They will remind you of who you used to be, as if your past self was more convenient for their comfort. They will call you different, not because you've lost yourself, but because you finally found yourself. You will notice how some people stop celebrating you the moment you stop shrinking. Their smiles will fade when your confidence begins to grow, and that's when you'll understand. Not everyone is meant to witness your transformation. Growth is a sacred climb, and the higher you go, the quieter it gets. You can't take everyone with you, not because they're bad people, but because they're not ready for the altitude. Some people prefer the version of you that needed them. They liked when you sought approval, when you questioned your worth, when you played small so they could feel big. But the moment you start standing tall, their insecurities start to speak louder than their love. You will sense their distance, their subtle competition, their quiet resentment. Let them go. They are not your enemy. They are simply not aligned with your becoming. When you begin to grow, it is natural to want to share your evolution. You want others to feel the light you found. You want to lift everyone with you. But not all hearts can handle your light. Some will take your growth as a challenge, not an inspiration. Some will twist your progress into pride, your confidence into arrogance, your self-respect into distance. You cannot convince people who see your growth as a threat that it's actually your healing. That's not your responsibility. You are not here to dim your light just to make others comfortable with their own shadows. Growth demands solitude. It asks you to step away from familiar noise so you can hear your soul clearly. You will outgrow conversations that once excited you. You will crave peace more than attention. You will realize that gossip, comparison, and meaningless validation no longer feed your spirit. You'll start valuing your energy differently. Where you invest it, who you give it to, what you let influence your emotions. That shift will confuse those who still live in chaos. They'll say you've changed, and they'll be right, but they won't see that you've changed because you've healed. There is a painful beauty in realizing that not everyone deserves to walk beside you as you rise. Some people were meant to be chapters, not constants. They were essential for your past, but incompatible with your growth. You can love them from afar without keeping them close. You can wish them well without keeping them in your circle. Love doesn't always mean staying connected. Sometimes love means releasing people who cannot love the new version of you. Growth is personal. It's not a group project. It's not something you can hand out like a gift. It's earned through pain, discipline, and awareness. And the truth is, some people don't want to see you grow because your evolution forces them to confront their own stagnation. Your courage to change makes them question their comfort. Your peace exposes their chaos. Your healing reminds them of wounds they still avoid. That's why some people withdraw when you start to rise. It's not that you did something wrong. It's that your presence became a mirror they weren't ready to face. You don't owe anyone access to your healing. You don't owe them updates on your progress, explanations for your silence, or invitations to your new world. You have the right to protect your energy, to keep your growth sacred, to bloom in privacy. Flowers don't open under inspection. They bloom in the quiet safety of sunlight and time. Your journey deserves that same gentleness. People who truly love you will respect your evolution. They won't guilt you for changing. They won't make you choose between peace and connection. They will celebrate your distance if it means your peace is intact. They will recognize that your growth is not rejection, it's transformation, and they will evolve with you, not against you. But those who can't handle your growth will try to pull you back into old habits, old patterns, old conversations. They will tempt you to defend your new self, to prove your growth, to justify your boundaries. Don't do it. You don't have to explain why you stopped participating in gossip, why you started saying no, or why you prefer solitude now. Your peace doesn't need validation. The right people will feel it. The wrong ones will resist it. The truth is, growth often looks like loneliness at first. You'll spend time in solitude wondering if you did the right thing by letting go. You'll question if you're becoming too distant, too private, too guarded. But slowly, that loneliness will turn into clarity. You'll realize that the space you created was not emptiness. It was room for better things to arrive. Room for people who match your energy. Room for opportunities that align with your purpose. Room for your own voice to finally be heard. You will learn that protecting your growth is protecting your future. Every time you allow the wrong energy back in, you risk returning to a version of yourself you've already outgrown. Every time you explain your growth to someone who doesn't care, you waste energy that could have been used for your healing. Every time you let guilt pull you back into old cycles, you delay your next level of peace. Growth requires you to be selective, even if it feels selfish. Because self-preservation is not selfishness, it's wisdom. Not everyone can see the world from where you're going. Some people will misunderstand your quiet as arrogance. Some will mistake your calm for indifference. Some will say you've lost yourself, when in truth, you finally found yourself. Let them say what they must. You don't owe them understanding. Your growth is not a performance. It is a sacred evolution that deserves protection, not permission. One day, you'll look back and realize that letting go of certain people, habits, and environments was the greatest act of love you ever gave yourself. You'll see how much lighter your spirit became when you stopped carrying what wasn't yours. You'll understand that growth is not about becoming better than anyone else. It's about becoming better than the person you were yesterday. And for that journey, you need peace, not permission. So walk gently but firmly on your path. Guard your growth with quiet strength. Let the ones who belong rise with you, and let the rest drift where they must. Because your evolution is sacred ground, and not everyone deserves to walk upon it. Your calm unsettles those who thrive on chaos. There is something powerful, almost dangerous, about a person who refuses to be shaken by the noise around them. When you carry peace inside you, people who depend on drama to feel alive will struggle to understand you. They will poke at your quiet. They will try to pull you into arguments, to make you react, to test your limits. Because your calm is not just silence to them, so it's a mirror. It reflects their restlessness, their insecurity, their inability to control you. And nothing disturbs chaotic souls more than realizing they have no power over your peace. When you stop engaging in the games of manipulation, gossip, and emotional warfare, you change the rhythm of the room. You no longer dance to the beat of confusion. You move differently, steady, composed, deliberate. And those who need chaos to feel significant can't handle it. They feed on reactions. Your stillness starves them. They rely on conflict. Your balance disarms them. They thrive when they can pull you out of character, but when you refuse to play their game, they lose their sense of control. Calmness is not the absence of emotion. It's the mastery of it. It means you have learned how to breathe through provocation, how to stay grounded when others are losing themselves. It means you've chosen peace over proving a point, patience over pride, and clarity over chaos. That kind of control is rare. It intimidates people who measure power by volume. They mistake your silence for weakness, not realizing it takes immense strength to remain composed when everything around you invites reaction. You will meet people who feel uncomfortable around your calm because it exposes their chaos. They will call you detached, distant, or cold, but those words only reveal their misunderstanding. You're not detached, you're discerning. You're not distant, you're protecting your energy. You're not cold, you're simply done setting yourself on fire to keep others warm. Calmness does not mean you don't care. It means you care wisely. You've learned that your peace is too precious to be spent on every storm that passes your way. There is a special kind of power in responding with stillness. When someone insults you and you don't react, they reveal their own immaturity. When someone gossips and you don't join in, your silence exposes their intention. When someone tries to provoke you and you smile instead of snapping, your restraint unsettles them more than any insult ever could. Chaos wants an audience. When you stop performing, the whole show collapses. People who thrive on chaos fear calm people because they cannot control them. They can't manipulate your emotions, can't bait you into arguments, can't predict your next move. You become unreadable to them. Your calm becomes your armor, soft enough to be kind, strong enough to be impenetrable. They will try to label you as emotionless, but that's because they mistake self-control for emptiness. In truth, your calm is not a void, it's a boundary. It's a declaration that your inner world is no longer available for chaos to rent. Your calmness can be threatening in relationships too. Some people are addicted to emotional intensity, to the highs and lows, the arguments and reconciliations, the endless cycle of drama that makes them feel alive. When you respond with patience and reason, it denies them the adrenaline they crave. They'll try to provoke you just to confirm you still care. But you've learned that love built on chaos is not love. It's attachment to dysfunction. You've grown past that. You understand that real connection is built on understanding, not emotional exhaustion. There will be times when your calmness feels lonely, when your silence is misunderstood, when people assume you don't feel deeply because you don't express it loudly. But never doubt your strength. The ability to remain calm in the storm doesn't mean you're unfeeling. It means you've become your own shelter. You've learned how to sit with pain without letting it define you. You've discovered that peace doesn't mean life is perfect. It means you've chosen to stop letting imperfections control your happiness. The world teaches us to react, to defend, to explain, to argue, but growth teaches us to pause. Calm people are not passive, they are selective. They know when to speak and when silence is the stronger statement. They know that not every situation deserves a reaction and not every person deserves access to their emotions. When you learn to master your response, you master your life. Because chaos has power only where your reaction gives it fuel. Your calm will always be misunderstood by those who haven't found their own. They'll see your detachment as arrogance, your boundaries as rejection, your silence as weakness. But stay steady. They're not reacting to you. They're reacting to what your peace reveals in them. Your calm exposes their lack of control. Your consistency reminds them how unstable they are. Your ability to remain kind without being naive frustrates them because it shows them that control doesn't come from domination, it comes from discipline. Sometimes your calm will make people walk away. They'll lose interest when they realize you won't engage in their drama. They'll seek out someone else to fight with, someone who will react the way they need to feel significant. Let them. You're not here to fix their chaos. You're here to maintain your peace. Those who truly value you will find comfort in your calm, not competition with it. They will see your steadiness as safety, not threat. Calmness is the quiet confidence that says, I don't need to prove anything. It's the wisdom that comes from having fought too many unnecessary battles. It's the grace that grows after heartbreak, after lessons learned, after realizing that peace is far more valuable than being right. When you reach that place, you no longer chase validation. You stop trying to change other people. You stop responding to every misunderstanding. You let go, you breathe, and you rise. Your calm unsettles those who thrive on chaos because it reminds them that control is possible, that peace is a choice, not a condition. It challenges their excuses. It shows them that maturity doesn't scream. It whispers that true power doesn't dominate. It remains unbothered. And for those who live off chaos, that truth is uncomfortable. Because if you can stay peaceful in the storm, it means the storm was never the problem. Their lack of stillness was. So keep your calm, even when it confuses them. Stay steady when they test you. Protect your energy when they try to provoke you. You don't have to match their chaos to prove your strength. Your silence is louder than their noise. Your balance is braver than their anger. And one day, they will realize that your calm was never weakness. It was the quiet power they could never understand. Walking away is not giving up, it's rising above. There comes a time when the fight you're in is no longer worth your peace, when proving your point costs you more than silence ever could. We are taught from a young age to hold on, to push through, to fight for what we want no matter what. But maturity teaches a different lesson, that not every battle deserves your presence, not every connection deserves your energy, and not every situation deserves to be fixed. Sometimes walking away is not weakness, it's wisdom. It's choosing yourself over the chaos that tries to consume you. It takes strength to walk away, because walking away means letting go of your need to control the outcome. It means you have finally understood that peace is better than validation. You realize you no longer need to explain your worth to those who refuse to see it. You no longer need to stay in spaces that make you question your value. You no longer need to shrink just to fit in. Walking away is not an act of defeat, it's an act of courage. It's choosing dignity over drama, self-respect over approval, and peace over pride. People may not understand your decision. They'll call you cold, distant, or even heartless for stepping back, but they don't understand the battles you fought silently before you left. They don't see the nights you stayed up trying to fix what was breaking you. They don't know the conversations you had with yourself just to keep going. They only see the moment you walk away, not the pain that pushed you there. But you owe no one an explanation for protecting your peace. You owe no one an apology for choosing yourself after giving everything you could. Walking away doesn't mean you didn't care. It means you cared enough to stop hurting. It means you recognized when love turned into exhaustion, when loyalty turned into self-sacrifice, when effort turned into pain. It's understanding that staying sometimes causes more damage than leaving. It's realizing that no matter how much you love, you cannot make someone ready to meet you with the same energy, respect, or peace you offer. You can't pour light into someone who's committed to staying in darkness. There's bravery in walking away from what no longer serves you. It's the kind of bravery that doesn't shout but whispers. It says, I've had enough. It says, I'm done explaining my worth to those who benefit from misunderstanding me. It says, my peace matters more than your comfort. This is not the kind of strength people celebrate loudly, but it's the kind that changes your life quietly. Because once you learn to walk away, you stop settling for less than you deserve. You stop chasing people who make you feel unwanted. You stop begging for the love you were always meant to give yourself. The truth is, holding on often feels easier because it's familiar. It gives us a sense of control, even when that control is hurting us. Letting go, however, demands faith. It requires trusting that what lies ahead will be better than what you're leaving behind. And that faith is not blind, it's born from pain, from lessons, from the realization that peace is never found in chaos. Walking away is not abandoning something good, it's releasing something that stopped growing. There will be moments when you question your decision. You'll wonder if you made a mistake, if maybe you should have stayed longer, tried harder, been more patient. But remember, walking away doesn't erase your effort. It honors it. It says, I did everything I could, and now I choose myself. You can't force someone to see your value, and you can't force a situation to become healthy when it's built on pain. You can only decide that your heart deserves to rest, your mind deserves quiet, and your soul deserves peace. People who misunderstand peace often equate it with passivity. They think walking away means surrendering. But it's the opposite. It's reclaiming your power, because staying in a situation that drains you gives away your control. Leaving, on the other hand, is a declaration that you will no longer allow your energy to be consumed by something unworthy of it. It's not that you stopped caring, it's that you started caring about yourself too. Walking away doesn't make you bitter, it makes you free. It allows you to rediscover your voice, your purpose, and your strength. It opens space for what's meant for you, people who match your peace, environments that nurture your growth, and moments that remind you of your worth. When you walk away from chaos, you make room for clarity. When you let go of pain, you make room for joy. When you rise above what once held you down, you step into a version of yourself that's stronger, softer, and wiser. There's a quiet power in knowing when enough is enough. It's the power that comes from being tired, not weak, from being done, not defeated, from realizing that your peace is your greatest achievement. The world may not applaud you for walking away, but your soul will thank you. It will finally have the space to breathe, to heal, to grow. And in that space, you'll realize that you never really lost anything. You simply rose above what was never meant to hold you. So when the time comes, don't see walking away as quitting. See it as reclaiming your light. See it as the moment you stopped letting others define your worth. See it as the beginning of your freedom. Because walking away is not about escaping, it's about elevating. It's standing tall, even in silence. It's loving yourself enough to choose peace over pain. It's not giving up, it's rising above. True respect begins when you stop asking others to value you. There comes a moment when you grow tired of waiting for validation, tired of shrinking yourself for acceptance, tired of explaining your worth to people who only hear what they want to. You start to realize that the respect you've been chasing from others was never theirs to give. It was always yours to claim. When you stop begging to be valued, you stop handing over the power to define who you are. That is where self-respect begins, in the quiet decision to no longer need permission to be enough. We spend so much of our lives trying to earn what should come naturally. We twist ourselves into versions we think others will appreciate. We silence our truth so we can belong. We overextend ourselves to prove we're worthy of love, of attention, of approval. But every time you beg someone to see your worth, you're telling yourself you don't believe in it. Every time you chase validation, you teach others how little you value your own peace. Respect, in its truest form, cannot be begged for. It can only be mirrored. It begins when you stop convincing others and start honoring yourself. There is freedom in knowing you don't need to be liked to be respected. Too often, people confuse kindness with compliance. They think saying yes to everything makes them lovable. But self-respect has boundaries, not walls. It doesn't require arrogance. It requires clarity. When you know who you are, you no longer entertain situations that make you forget. You stop trying to fix people who don't see your effort. You stop justifying your choices to those who have never walked your path. True respect doesn't come from the world's approval. It comes from your alignment with your own truth. When you stop asking others to value you, you start making decisions that honor your own worth. You no longer tolerate disrespect disguised as jokes. You no longer accept love that feels conditional. You no longer chase friendships that thrive only on convenience. You realize that respect is not about how others treat you, it's about what you allow. The moment you decide to stop explaining your boundaries is the moment you start living by them. That is where peace grows, not from pleasing everyone, but from protecting your own dignity. Self-respect is not loud. It doesn't need to announce itself or demand attention. It shows in your choices, in the way you say no without guilt, in the way you stay silent instead of arguing for your worth, in the way you walk away when someone treats you like you're replaceable. When you stop performing for approval, you find strength in your stillness. You understand that the right people will never make you question your value. The ones who truly see you won't need to be convinced. They'll recognize your light because they've found their own. People may misunderstand your confidence. They'll call it pride. They'll say you've changed. But change is the evidence of growth. You're not arrogant. You're aware. You're not selfish. You're protecting what's sacred. When you stop seeking validation, your energy shifts. You begin to move differently, slower, calmer, more certain. You stop reacting to every criticism because you know your worth is not up for debate. You stop trying to prove your goodness because you know your intentions speak louder than words. You stop chasing people because those meant to stay will meet you with the same respect you show yourself. True respect doesn't come from applause or approval. It comes from alignment. It's the way you treat yourself when no one is watching. It's the way you speak to yourself after failure, the way you forgive yourself after mistakes, the way you believe in yourself when others doubt you. You learn to give yourself the kindness you've been begging for. You start to understand that no one can truly respect you until you do, because people treat you according to the standard you set. And when your standard rises, everything that can't meet it will naturally fall away. You begin to see that not everyone is meant to value you, and that's okay. Some people can only meet you at the level of their own awareness. Their inability to see your worth doesn't reduce it. It only reveals their limitation. When you no longer need to be understood by everyone, you free yourself from the burden of performance. You realize that peace doesn't come from being seen. It comes from being authentic. The world's approval is fleeting, but self-respect is unshakable. Learning to respect yourself means setting boundaries that may disappoint others but protect your soul. It means saying no even when your voice shakes. It means walking away from people who keep showing you their disregard. It means refusing to explain your decisions to those who never listen to understand. You will lose some people in the process, the ones who benefited from your lack of boundaries. But what you gain is priceless: peace, clarity, and an unshakable sense of self-worth. There's something powerful about the moment you stop asking, "What do they think of me?" and start asking, "What do I think of myself?" That shift changes everything. You stop letting other people's opinions shape your self-image. You stop giving weight to voices that haven't earned a place in your story. You stop measuring your value by how much you're needed and start measuring it by how true you are to yourself. Respect becomes less about recognition and more about reflection. You look in the mirror and finally see someone who no longer needs to be chosen because they have already chosen themselves. It takes time to reach that kind of confidence. It takes heartbreak, disappointment, and a lot of lessons learned the hard way. You will spend years giving too much, forgiving too easily, explaining too often. But one day, something will shift. You'll wake up and realize that you are no longer waiting for anyone to validate your existence. You'll stand taller, speak softer, and move with certainty. Not because the world changed, but because you did. You'll understand that the only person who can define your worth has been with you all along, you. True respect begins not when the world finally sees your value, but when you stop needing it to. It's when you decide that your peace matters more than their approval. It's when you honor your boundaries, even if it means standing alone. It's when you realize that your self-worth is not negotiable. From that moment on, you no longer chase, you attract. You no longer beg, you choose. You no longer ask, you embody. And that right there is where true respect lives, in the quiet, unshakable knowing that you are enough, with or without anyone's validation. You don't need to fight to prove your worth. Your peace is the loudest declaration of your power. When toxic people can no longer touch your spirit, they lose their control. Stand tall, walk gently, and let your grace do the talking. Because when you honor yourself, no one can dishonor you.